Good afternoon and happy new month.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're good.
I'm great.
Nice
great.
one. How was the weekend, by the way?
Hey, the weekend was a bit rough, eh?
Yeah.
It was a bit rough, but we thank God that we finally managed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. Ke rena le pele solo di say le Moretsi le ref the G mo tsatsing la gompieno.
Ke dumedisa baretsi botlhe ba Kurara FM. Thank you so much. I hope you are sitting relaxed so that you can hear your Monday motivation. Thank you.
O se ke rata sengwe ka wena gore fa o re wa go se dira ba go se dira mo beke je fitileng gore se pitse gore nna ka iprele go se ka beke ya ntlha iprele ke motho ke khatang moriri o khatile go pieno ja ka gore se pisitse no re ya le ga Mr. Happy. Once again, welcome and you can take it away.
Thank you, sir. Today I want to talk to you about something really interesting, and I think it interests me a lot. It actually relates with why I have certain habits and why I do what I do sometimes, because I strongly believe that as a person you need to have things that you define yourself by. If you don't have things that define who you are, the chances are everything that seems attractive will attract you. And if you don't have things that really describe and things that you can say are enshrined in your personality as a person, any wind or any type of they call them trends these days, any type of trend will go with you. And sometimes I always say to people to say, it's good when things trend and you get excited that certain things are trending, but sometimes you must look at it with a different eye and says, trends sometimes are also a test of how strong you are personality-wise as a person, because it's not every trend that's for you. Yes, there are those you will enjoy, but there are some of them that you will not necessarily enjoy. So with that, I want to introduce the law of growth for today. We're going to talk about the law of growth. We've been speaking about the law of consistency, and we touched about the law of repetition, and I think now it's high time that we speak about the law of growth. One of the reasons why I believe the law of growth is important that we discuss it is because this is one law that I personally believe. You see, if you look at growth has no end. It only has a beginning, but it never ends.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't matter how much you think you know and how much you think you have grown. You will always have room for improvement. You will always have room to know more. So what that then teaches me is that, so it means there are levels to how people have grown in life. And you will find that certain levels of your growth in life allow you to achieve certain things in life. And when you are at certain growth, I normally use this example. I said, I can have all the money in the world. There are things I can't do with money. Say, my youngest boy is he's 6 years old. He's 6 years old. He's turning 7 this year. As young as he is, I might have all the desires in the world to want to buy him his own house or buy him a new car. But his age does not allow him to have such things. Which means in as much as certain things you might have access to them, but you might not necessarily attain them, or you might be exposed to them, but you might not necessarily attain them because maybe your level of growth does not allow for you to experience things at that level. So you will find then a situation where at his age, yes, I might buy him a car, but I'll probably buy him that small one that he climbs into and he drives, and he will enjoy it. It might have a BMW emblem because I want to buy him a BM, but it's not the real BM. It's a BMW of his age. So he enjoys it as a vehicle that he's driving a car, but he's driving a car that is proportional to his age. So you will realize that growth is very important because it also teaches us that there are certain blessings even in life, or there are certain goals even in life that you will need to grow to a certain level for you to actually achieve those goals. And it's important. So let's look at the word growth. Why is it important for us to understand the law of growth? I think this law teaches us that things will always change. And it allows you to be able to keep that as a reality in your life, to say things are not always going to be the same. And some people can call it a crisis. These days I like using COVID as an example to say everything was normal for us and we were living life and things were okay. No one was expecting that all of a sudden you will have to live in your house and not go out for 21 days. It was the most difficult thing for people to ever have to do, especially for those who are used to going out. So that change happened, and it was not necessarily, you were not prepared for it. You were not allowed enough time to adjust yourself for you to be ready for the lockdown. But the lockdown happened when it happened, and you needed to just quickly, on your toes, do what you have to do or do what you were told to do, because things in life are meant to always change. And whether you are prepared for that change or not, it's irrelevant. Change will always come, and things will always change, and change is inevitable. So this process requires that we have regular alignment in our lives, where we always have to keep ourselves in check to say things might not. It's like if I'm doing well in life and my business is doing well and I'm making money, and I always have to keep in mind, even in that period when I'm making money, to say I need to adjust and prepare for rainy day. So that if things change in my business, I at least have enough for me to be able to survive.
Yes,
and you will see it even when COVID came. It's not a lot of businesses that survived it, because people were not prepared for such a thing. Because in our minds as people, whenever something good happens or something continues to be, operating in a way that we are comfortable with, we generally accept and say, this is how things are. This is how it's always going to be. It's not going to change. And we don't realize that one day things can change. You can be poor today. In the next few months, you become the richest person in Kuruman.
Yeah.
You can be, homeless, and before you know it, in the next week, you have the biggest mansion in the area. Things can change. Things will always change in your life. And I'm not saying they always change for the better. Sometimes they don't change for the better. They change for the worst, where you will need to do what we call crisis management, where you will need to manage the bad that you're experiencing in life. So it becomes important for us to then realize, to say, that means for us to be able to constantly be in a position to manage those changes in our lives, we need to grow. We need to grow. If you look at an infant, a child that grows up, there are things that child cannot do for themselves. It does not matter how much the environment changes. They entirely depend on the parent. And the growth of that child in those moments where they're an infant, it depends on how well the parent can mother or can father that child. And the growth of that child is entirely dependent on that. If the mother is not a good mother, that child is not going to grow well. If the father is not a good father, that child is not going to grow well. But there comes a time where that child now grows past that period, or rather that window, where they now have to be taken care by a parent. Now they have to do things for themselves. And they call it adulting nowadays.
Yes.
And they say adulting is not fashion. I wish I was still a child because I had no worry in the world. Now, what it means is that now you are in a space of your life where all of that growth you needed to accumulate while you were young up until this age now matters. Now you need to put it in practice. To say, now all of these things you've been developing and growing in, what are you doing with them? So the process of growth, what does growth actually mean? You can look at growth from a biological perspective. You can look at it from a medical perspective. You can look at it naturally. Every other form that you look at, all that growth actually really means is that something grows in size.
Yes.
Something has to grow in size. And some people will say, okay, does my brain have to grow in size? Yes, hypothetically it will grow in size, but it will not grow physically in size. But your brain will also still grow.
Yes.
Does your heart grow? Yes, your heart grows, because you go through things, you go through pain, you go through things that make you feel bad, they hurt you, they do this, you learn how to deal with that pain. You grow your heart to learn, to say, I know now, when I experience a feeling like this is how I deal with it. When I experience, that is part of growth.
Yes, sir.
And that growth that is why we're talking about growth while we are talking about adaptation. Because growth is part of adapting. You being able to be in an environment that does not necessarily favor you, but you can grow to a level where you adapt enough for you to learn to exist in that environment, even if it can be hostile, even if it can be detrimental, even if it can be dangerous for you. You can grow to learn to be in that environment in a safer way, even if it's dangerous. For an example, how many people work in a mine? I mean, you will find, for an example, in the Northern Cape, there are underground mines, there are open cast mines. The level of danger in those environments is not the same. But the level of growth of that company that has allowed them to master the art of working in dangerous environments by putting systems in place allows them to mine safely.
True.
Now you realize that growth is necessary, because it means in some of the things, for you to achieve your goal, you will have to put yourself in environments that are difficult for you to achieve results. Because whatever you need to achieve is in that dangerous environment. But you will need to have grown to a level where you are able to coexist with those difficulties and still produce results. What does that require for you to do that? It requires growth.
Powerful.
And that's why you will realize mining becomes more and more complex as time goes, because there's new technology coming in that's helping us mine even in much more dangerous areas than where they used to mine in the past.
Yes, sir.
And our technologies are helping us now. Even technology has to grow. Everything has to grow. Everything has to move from one point to another for it to get to a level where we can use it properly and appropriately. Now, even with you as a person, you were not born a grown man. You were born an infant.
Yes.
You had to grow. You didn't have teeth.
Yeah.
But because your body knows that at some point you will have to eat meat, because you can't live by milk until you are 30 years old.
Yeah.
You will have to eat meat at some point. What does your body do? Your body starts adjusting your intestines. Your teeth starts growing so that you can chew the meat. And there are several things in your body that will adjust for you to accommodate that growth. Yes. And by the time you get to a level where you are able to eat meat, even your body has grown to a level where if meat comes into the body is ready for it. Now, what does that mean? What it means is that even us as people, we carry the responsibility to make sure that we grow ourselves. We carry the responsibility to make sure that we develop ourselves. We have to develop ourselves mentally. We have to develop ourselves physically. We have to develop ourselves in different aspects of our lives depending on what our vision is in life. Now, say for an example, your vision is to become Mr. Universe. What aspects of growth are you going to focus on? You are going to focus on aspects of growth that have to do with your mental strength. Yes. You're going to develop aspects of growth that have to do with your physical strength, because your body has to be built and developed in a certain way for you to come across as a person who can compete at that level. So that growth is actually necessary for you. Okay, I want to be the best technician in my field of study. What that means is that you need to then take time. You need to be in a space where you are willing to do things that other people are not willing to do for you to achieve what you want to achieve. So growth then becomes important. So if we look at growth is not fun. And if people will tell you, I enjoy growing, that's not true. Yeah. Growth is not fun. Growth requires commitment. Yeah. Growth requires focus and seriousness. Growth is not nice at all. But the good thing about growth is that growth allows you to get to a point in your life where there are certain things that you might have not necessarily been able to do, but due to growth, you now have the capability to do them. Yes, sir. A child, when is born, nowadays it's even very interesting that children, they get born with their eyes open now. Back in the day, we used to know it takes a few days before when a child opens their eyes, would celebrate. Oh, their eyes are open. Now they are open before you even leave the hospital. So you realize that there are certain aspects of growth that you expect certain things at certain times. But things sometimes happen quicker than you expected. Sometimes things take longer than you expected. So even timelines become important, because sometimes you sit there and you wonder and you say, I'm trying to push so I can grow in certain areas. Yes, growth is sometimes gradual. Growth is sometimes quick. Growth sometimes takes longer than we want it to take. But whatever the case might be, growth still needs to happen. Growth is a necessity. Yes, now, let me mention a few things around growth that I believe are very important in our time and age. People need to get into the attitude of having a growth mentality. Have a growth mentality. A mentality that says, everything around me is available for me to learn something out of it. I like how the Bible is so very clear when it comes to how humans can learn from animals. Yeah. How humans can learn from nature. Yeah. And you read the book of Proverbs, it's full of that stuff. Now you realize that as a person, everything that was created for you to learn something from it. And there are several things, even people around your life. There are some times where you will have people in your life that are going to teach you how to be disciplined, because you are not, and you have this friend of yours or someone that's close to you that is more disciplined than you. And their discipline is just so supreme. It's so superior to the discipline that you have. It is your duty for you to say, this person is in my life for a reason. What is it that I'm learning from these people? What is it that I'm learning from this person? Now, when a person has growth mentality, this is one of the benefits of having growth mentality, is that growth mentality allows you to choose your friends wisely. Wow. Whew. Because you're not going to choose friends because you laugh nicely together. There's no growth, there's no gain. Yes, there are those friends you will keep because, from childhood. Yeah. Our mothers were friends. We are also friends. Maybe our children are also going to be friends. Yeah. But there are people you need to keep in your life intentionally. Because there are certain things about those. Sometimes you will need to go out of your way to look for friends that have things that you want to develop in your life, so that you have that constant reminder in your, in your face that says you need to grow this element in your life. You need to grow this element in your life. So it becomes important that you will realize that, okay, so I don't need to have 100 friends. I can actually have less than 10 friends, or maybe I can have slightly more. But whoever I have in my life, I need to be able to sit down and say, I have that spirit in my life for this reason.
Yes.
If people say, why are you friends? I need to have a solid reason why I have this person as a friend. You know, I heard you guys were talking earlier about grooving and parties and why people go there for fun and for the music and so forth. And you ask yourself a question. A lot of people today, their friendships are based on enjoyment. To say, I enjoy better when I'm with you. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Maybe it's how you de-stress or how you detox. Yeah. But what are you learning? A person with a growth mentality is a person that wants to learn new things all the time.
Yes, sir.
It's a person that wants to be around people that are challenging them. If a person seems smarter than me, I want to be around that person. If a person speaks better English than me, I want to be around that person.
Sir.
If any person does something better than me, I want to linger around that person so I can learn that quality, so I can learn that thing they have. I don't know if I'm making any sense. So you need to have that mentality that says, I want to grow. I want to grow. So some people, you will find that they are in companies, they're employed in companies, and some of them get irritable because they feel their jobs are redundant and it's irritating, and I do the same thing every day. Ask yourself a question. Who are you working with? What is it that you can learn from the people you are working with? You can actually make your own environment exciting by creating a platform for yourself to learn. A lot of people can enjoy doing what they are doing simply because they are learning. And sometimes they can be learning outside their own discipline, from other disciplines, and it makes their jobs even more exciting. Someone who's in business, you are in business, and your business is starting to bore you. Sometimes you don't feel like going to work because you feel like I'm doing the same things over and over again. Start mingling with other business people that know things that you don't know. And you will begin to realize that as you mingle and you interact with those people, your networks are beginning to work for you, and you are using them for your own benefit. To what? To grow. And this is important because think about it this way. As a person, if God wanted you to be alone because you had everything you need in life for you to survive until you are old and you pass on, he would have created you and placed you somewhere alone.
True.
So you don't have people around you. And you will realize most of the time, even people around you teach you very important things about yourself. Have you noticed that the things that irritate you about people are the things that you also do?
True.
And it's a learning. Yes. It's to say, hey, this person is irritating me. And if you look back and say, what do I do? You will realize, the same thing that this person does is the same thing that I do. But because I see it in them, it irritates me. But it's a learning to say, that means, now you irritate other people. Yes. So you need to learn to get rid of that quality because that quality is actually not working. So you see how much you need people around you. You need people around you so that you can learn from them. So you can build yourself so that you can grow. Now, part of us having to grow is that growth allows us to close the gap by learning new skills. You don't have to know the only thing that you know right now as the only thing that you know that you are going to go to the grave with. There's many other things for you to learn.
Yes, sir.
There's many other things to learn. I've got such a mentality to learn that in a very short space of time, I would flip from one thing to another just to quickly learn. And last year I decided I'm going to go into fragrances.
Yeah.
And I partnered with a lady and I said to her, look, let's go into fragrances, and this is my idea, this is my business, this is what I want to do. Can you partner with me?
Yeah.
She understands fragrances far better than me. And before you know it, a few months down the line, now I can speak fragrance language.
Yes.
You see, that's growth. Because now if someone asks me about the business, I'm able to explain it way better now. Way better than what I had in mind as an idea before. I don't know if I'm making any sense. There is room for you to grow. There is room for you to grow. But the problem is that many a times, because we envy one another, we competing with one another, we avoid the opportunity. That is why one of the things I don't like about people is that people compete even when it's not necessary.
Yeah, true.
Even when you need to actually grow, you compete. Even when you need to actually build yourself up, you compete instead of learning. When someone knows something better than you, keep quiet, sit down, learn.
Yes, sir.
And that's the art of growth. Now, you close those gaps by learning new skills. Now, when you learn new skills, for an example, you will find that someone is an admin person at work. And yes, they're doing very well as an admin person. Do you realize that admin person can be outstanding to a level where they can be eligible for even better promotions if they develop other skills? Because one day they will speak to this person and say, please, can you do 1, 2, 3 for us? And that person does it and they do it very well. And they will say, hey, you also know how to do this. What else do you know how to do? And they say, no, it's because I'm just a PA.
Yeah.
All I know, I'm only doing what I'm told to do. But I know 1, 2, 3, 4. Before you know it, the boss says, no, man, we are underutilizing you. You've got more skill than we expect. And you'll find that skill might not necessarily be a qualification.
Yeah.
It can be purely a skill by experience.
True.
It's not everything that needs to be a qualification, but you can learn and you can grow. That growth is important because it's what sets you up for success in the future or where you are going as a person.
Yes,
So you will never grow unless you believe that you can grow as a person.
Wow.
You'll never. If you don't believe you can grow, if you say, I have arrived,
Yeah.
I have achieved levels of growth, I am matured and I am this. That is why it's problematic for you to have. Remember when I spoke the last time about the law of consistency, I said you need to have 3 levels of people in your life. People who are doing better than you, people who are doing at your level, and people who are doing less than you. Because as a person, when you are growing, the people who are doing better than you are always a constant reminder that there's more to be achieved.
Yes.
But the problem is when you are always around, and a lot of people like this, they like being around people who are doing less than them. If I drive the best car, I make sure I am around people that don't drive better than me. Because every time I'm around them, I feel like I've arrived.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand. So those are the things that will block you and make you feel as if you can't grow. But let me tell you something. Even if you are the most beautiful lady in the group of ladies that you chill with,
Yes, sir.
you can still do better.
Wow. Okay.
You can still do better. In fact, you can do better by meeting other ladies who are more beautiful than you, because they will teach you that beauty is not everything.
Yes,
and you
sir.
realize there's other qualities I need to build for me to actually look even more beautiful than just physical beauty. I don't know if I'm making sense. So there's always something for you to learn as a person. The question is, what are you doing with the platforms that have been created for you to actually learn? Are you learning? Or are you thinking people are jealous of you? Or are you thinking people are just competing with you? Or are you thinking people just don't like you? Sometimes you can be around people that don't like you. I know in my career as a person, when before I went into business, when I was still an employee, there were several occasions where I reported to people who didn't like me. But that did not bother me. All I said was, I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
Even if you yell at me while you are teaching me, it's okay. Bottom line is I have gained knowledge. Ultimately, I will get to a point where I know what you know.
Yes.
And when I know what you know, that means I'm also eligible to be promoted to where you can also be promoted. So whether you like me or not, it's irrelevant. Now you realize that when your mind is a mind that says, I have a mentality for growth, it means every single thing that I do and it's motivated by the fact that I want to grow. That's why last week I was saying that people need to learn the art of saying no.
Yes.
Because there are certain things you look at and you say, yeah, look, I can spend an hour doing nothing because I'm unwinding. But the whole day,
Can be.
it doesn't make sense. So you need to have that mentality that says, I need to grow. I need to think of myself. I need to think of where I'm going. So growth requires flexibility. You need to be flexible as a person when it comes to growth. Because there are certain things as well that you have learned as a person while you are growing up that are not the right things for you to have learned. And you need to unlearn them for you to learn the right kind of habits. And that flexibility is what helps you. I remember when we were still at university, there's a quotation, I used to have it on my wall as well.
Yes.
Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break.
Yes, sir.
You see?
Yeah.
Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break. What it means is that there is no situation, nothing that another human being can say or do towards you that will actually break you.
Powerful.
Because even if there is an argument between me and you, all I'm going to do, because I have a mentality of growth,
Flexible.
I will learn from what has happened and I will do better next time. And that's how it's supposed to be. Because then when you are like that, you don't keep grudges. You don't stay angry for too long.
Yeah.
You reconcile, you fix things, and you're okay. Why? Because your mind always says, what am I learning from what I'm going through? Maybe you've been praying to say, God, please bless me with a job, bless me, and the job is not coming. Sit down and take a back seat and say, I've been praying. I know God has heard me the first time I prayed. What is it that I need to learn about this delay that I'm experiencing? Growth is important because growth forces you to look for lessons in every single thing that happens in your life.
Yeah.
Even if it's a mistake. You know, you don't point at your friends to say they are the ones that maybe make this mistake. You know, other people even have a tendency of saying it's the devil. You know, the devil has caused me to do this. The question is whatever that you are going through, whatever that has happened in your life, what are you learning from it for you to grow? You do not just experience things for the sake of experiencing them. You're experiencing them to do what? To grow. So growth also means doing things that you don't like, as I've already said. But growth is a necessity for progress. You will never progress in life if you do not want to grow. Even in any organization, I can tell you now, if you are an employee and you've been wondering why you are not being promoted, you are not going to be promoted for how many years you've been with the company. You are not going to be promoted for how loyal you are to the company. You are going to be promoted for how much growth you are showing.
Yo, okay.
Even as a business, for people to want to work with you, they are going to want to work with you because they have seen where you have started. They have seen how you have developed and how you have grown as a business, how you have reached a level where they believe your level of growth allows them to even partner with you or to enter into business with you. Why? Because you have demonstrated growth. The law of growth. It is important for you to realize that no growth, no progress.
Yo.
Thank you very much. That's my motivation for the day.
Mr. Mahapi, thank you so much.
They will find us on Instagram in life_in_perspective. Or TikTok, the same, life_in_perspective. And Facebook, life in perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mahapi, thank you so much.